In this premium episode, I interview astronaut Dr. Dave Williams. Hello and welcome back to the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. This is the preview for premium episode number 516, and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. Thank you so much for stopping by. This episode is once again a special treat for our premium subscribers. It's another interview from the Prepcast Leadership Academy series. These 15 in-depth conversations, they are designed to help you elevate your leadership abilities and advance your career in project management. And this month, I'm interviewing explorer Dr. Dave Williams. He is a pioneering astronaut, physician, and CEO who has explored both space and the ocean. In this thought-provoking conversation, Dave reveals how NASA's leadership culture drives excellence by addressing challenges like the knowing-doing gap and fostering accountability. With his engaging stories, he highlights leadership lessons from space exploration and then their practical applications for us project managers. So you'll discover actionable strategies to build trust, close performance gaps, and lead teams with resilience and purpose. Here's how to watch the interview. Premium subscribers, please open premium episode 516 in your podcast app to listen to the audio version of the interview. To watch the interview as a video, look for the play video episode link in the episode's description. But if you are not yet a premium listener, please visit pm-podcast.com/premium to learn more and consider joining. And now, here's a 5-minute preview of the interview for everyone. Enjoy, and until next time, welcome, Dr. Dave Williams. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here and share some of the stories from the space program and how that can help all of us as leaders. When I first started in my varied leadership roles many years ago, I had no formal training at all in leadership. Actually, even today, I have no MBA or a degree like that. And yet leadership for me has been a lifetime journey. Another key decision that Keith Glennon insisted upon was getting an expert in quality assurance, safety systems, and bringing them at the highest level. The administrator was insisting. In some cases, some of the engineers said, we really don't need this. I mean, we know what we're doing from an engineering perspective. And Keith Glennon insisted and said, no, safety has to be paramount. President Kennedy mentioned all of that, created the commitment to going to the moon after Keith Glennon was the administrator. His job was to create the agency, to bring all these disparate groups that were existing within the United States. In some case, rocket research was being done by the Army. In other cases, it was being done by the Navy. There was work going on at NACA. So the fundamental question that they were dealing with was, how do we send a human into space? How do we design and build this Mercury spacecraft? How do we create the capacity to interact with the private sector and contractors to help us build the subsystems? And I think that's where you begin to see some of the challenges, is that 3 major programs over the course of 9 to 10 years, going from never having done something to sending somebody to achieve what many consider was impossible, going to the moon and coming back. That was a remarkable achievement in leadership.
Do you see that this knowing-doing gap, whether it still exists at NASA today and how it is being addressed?
So I think there's always a risk of knowing-doing gaps in any organization, not just NASA.
And like you said, this is a true leadership opportunity for every project leader to understand where the knowing-doing gap is and then take appropriate actions.
I will say, I think it takes courage. Once you identify a gap and you ask the question, okay, why does this gap exist? We have to look at ourselves and say, I am committing, I'm acting with integrity as a leader to make sure I'm doing the right thing to decrease the knowing-doing gap and optimize our performance as an organization.
One of your early insights is humble leaders who ask questions, listen thoroughly, and encourage team members to speak up so that they can change the the organizational culture.
Be humble and listen. How hard can that be? In fact, it can be very difficult, and that's why sometimes senior leaders, middle-level leaders have problems and challenges. One of the most effective leaders in NASA's history is George Low. He was one of the most humble individuals you would ever encounter. He would relentlessly ask probing questions, never raise his voice, just simply ask questions and keep asking questions. And through the process of asking questions, he was able to guide the team in their discussion to be able to discover not only what needed to be done, but to come up with solutions that he undoubtedly envisioned in his own mind.
Why do you think that this happens, and how can a project leader avert social normalization of deviant behavior on their projects?
It's more the challenge of normalizing the response to pressure and the fact that we start to do things in a way that we know is not the best technical way to be able to meet some of these other demands. I used to talk to my team at NASA and say, if you can come and discover a latent error, bring it into my office. History does not repeat itself. Humans repeat history. And in general, we do it in some cases out of ignorance. The answer is actually remarkably simple, but the fact that it's simple doesn't mean that it's easy to do. So conflict in organization has evolved from being something that could be really productive and help us be the best that we can be to something that's avoided because people have a perception that whoever the leader is doesn't want to hear what they need to know. The important part of what he's communicating is something that the space agency broadly calls followership. So you could be in the middle of the org chart and you're leading, you're influencing in an upward direction. It also takes courage. So my definition of followership is an ability to speak up and courageously collaborate in a multidisciplinary team environment.
Dave, thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. Until next time.